welcome to Quality of Life Radio, hosted by Lisa and Nancy, editors of BigBlendMagazine.com.
Kaboom. It's not really a kaboom, but the gong has spoken. The show is live. We are going to be starting today's Quality of Life show with a panel discussion about excellence and integrity. It is one of our monthly 8 Keys of Excellence shows, and of course that means Bobby DePorter, the co-founder of Supercamp and the creator of the 8 Keys of Excellence Character Education Program, is on. Also, Matt Scott, who's the author of the Find Something Awesome How-To book series for kids, and Spontaneous Rob. And, you know, he's got to have a road report for us since he's in his RV traveling around the countryside with his game, Spontaneous, the song game, award-winning board game and best-selling board game.
I know.
He's kicking board game butt is what he's doing as he travels around. And as part of the panel discussion, we have, because we all tell stories, and we're going to talk about integrity today, Hollywood History is on the platform as well. We've got Steve Schneickert's new Hollywood History segment, and it's all about integrity.
Awesome.
And then Billboard charting New Age world music artist, recording artist Kalyani is joining us to talk about her latest singles and videos, and her role and what she's doing is to really inspire people, connect them more to the earth, and she's working towards a better humanity. So it's a lot of good stuff.
We like that. You need to connect to where you live.
Yeah.
Which would be the earth.
Well, she's a filmmaker, and her films are exquisite.
Cool.
It's absolutely incredible. So looking forward to having her on the show. But happy Sunday, everybody. It's Sunday Fun Day. It is January 14th, 2018, and you're listening to Big Blend Radio. It's our Quality of Life show. We're streaming live from Tucson and Arizona, and we're your hosts, Nancy Reed and Lisa Smith. Nancy's the mother. I'm the daughter. Together, we travel the country as well, going to national parks and their surrounding public lands and gateway communities, and we publish 2 digital interactive magazines. We have Big Blend Radio and TV Magazine. That's our variety publication. You can check it out at blendradioandtv.com. And also our Parks and Travel magazine, which covers just that, parks and travel and around the world and across the country. Go to nationalparktraveling.com to see it there. But I think it's time to get started. Are you ready, Nancy?
Yeah, let's go.
I know. We always are ready to talk about excellence. Stay tuned. Okay, it is time for our special 8 Keys of Excellence panel discussion. And the 8 Keys of Excellence, go to the website 8keys.org. It's an amazing character education program. It's a free family program, and we're all on a quest. Nancy and I here on Big Blend Radio, we're on a quest to get 50 million kids living these 8 Keys of Excellence. And we're not the only ambassadors. There's a lot of ambassadors out there to do this. 50 million kids around the world and across the country to live these 8 Keys. And I want to bring our first guest on, who we call the Queen of Excellence, Bobby DePorter. She's the co-founder of Supercamp, which is the world's leading summer academic achievement program for teens and preteens. I encourage you to go to the website, supercamp.com. It's an incredible program, and kids go live on a campus for almost a week, I think it is, and they learn the 8 Keys of Excellence, and they learn how to make decisions and just all kinds of good things. So, again, supercamp.com. And also, she is the president of Quantum Learning Network, which does a lot of work with teachers and the education role of, leadership. And so check out qln.com for that. Bobby created the 8 Keys of Excellence, and she's the author of multiple books, including the 8 Keys of Excellence, Principles to Live By. Her latest book is co-authored with Barbara K. Given. It's called Excellence in Teaching and Learning, the Quantum Learning System. Everything is on qln.com, and, of course, the books are on Amazon. Bobby, Queen of Excellence, welcome back. How are you?
I'm doing really good. How are you?
Oh, doing good. Weren't you on the show a week ago?
I know. It is. Welcome back.
Good to have you back, and excited to talk about the 8 Keys of Excellence. Do you want to tell everybody a little bit how that connects with Supercamp?
Well, it's foundational to our program because Supercamp is all about kids discovering who they are and their values and how they're leading their life. So learning and discussing the 8 keys goes deep for the kids, where they really embrace them and they become who they are and how they express themselves.
I like that. And over 35 years Super Camp this year, right?
It is. We have a lot of parents who are attended the program themselves, sending their kids. So we love that longevity and hear about, and they talk about the keys still and in their family and teaching their kids, and then their kids come to Super Camp and see them there.
And when we talk about this $50 million, it's like I said, it's not just Nancy and I running out there doing that for sure. I know you've been a huge. I mean, obviously, this is what you created. You've got a number. We've got a number towards that. So we're not starting at ground zero, right?
No, we're well over 20 million, and that we have thousands of schools that have adopted the 8 Keys of Excellence. So you think about how many students go through those schools over the years, and we're also in over a dozen countries, and they're all teaching and living the 8 Keys of Excellence in our programs. Awesome. And that's the thing, is getting them into the schools. I think that's one of the key components. I know that you also will be back on the show in February for our Family Festival, talking about the Community Alliance for Youth Success over in Oceanside, California, where you're based, up in northern San Diego. And this is something where you take the 8 keys, and not only is it the schools, but the actual community. Everyone unites. The business owners, community leaders, everybody starts to really take in the 8 keys, and it's a big push every year. It is, and I think that, what a message that sends to the students to see adults throughout the city, whether they're going into the local pharmacy, the city council, the nonprofits, they're all supporting the 8 Keys of Excellence.
I love it. I want to bring our next guest on, Rob Ridgway. Rob is the creator of the Amazon best-selling and award-winning board game Spontunious, and that means we get to play Spontunious on today's show. We love that. You can go to his website, songgame.com, and he's also our road trip reporter because he goes around in his RV traveling to different places, and we love it because I think one of his last destinations was a national park. Welcome back, Rob. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me, Lisa.
Hey, it's always good to have you on the show, and this is your second round with the 8 Keys of Excellence. I have to say round since you're in the board game industry. The 8 Keys of Excellence,
no pun
I love
intended.
This. I know, I live in puns. It's Punville over here, but very exciting. Christmas season, you kick some board game booty further. Like you just keep growing and growing on this best-selling list. Where did everything land up over the holiday season with Spontunious?
Oh, well, it was awesome. It started off a little bit slower than I thought it might, but it's amazing how it picks up those last couple of weeks of December, and it ended up, at the number one best-selling board game on Amazon, and I couldn't be any happier and couldn't be any more thankful than to have that opportunity. So it was pretty cool.
That is awesome.
That's amazing.
Congratulations.
And that's so cool.
And you've been doing this, speaking of the 8 Keys of Excellence and puns, for 8 years now, right?
I have. Yes, I have. It's been a long road for sure.
Oh, awesome. Congratulations. And
yes.
I think it's going to be exciting talking about excellence, because that's that continuation, versus, immediate success, or, you're definitely living that role. And everyone, again, songgame.com. I know people buy board games over the holidays, but I'm a big believer in doing it all the time. Playing games and communicating. Take your cell phone down for a little bit. You can use it in the game at some point. Sometimes you're not allowed, but it is. I think when people go on family vacations, get together. It's a way to start bonding.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the coolest things. Is sometimes families haven't seen each other for a long time, and sometimes it's like a way for, to just get back into that circle of communicating with each other.
Yeah, it's a great way for people to connect on a personal level, and we have so much technology these days, especially the kids growing up and are addicted to their cell phones and TV, and if we can just unplug from all of that and sit down around a good old-fashioned board game and interact with each other, I think it's very healthy for a family to do that.
Right.
I like it because I think it's really fun when you have different ages. involved, and so
Yeah.
teenagers are going to hear what their grandparents liked in music-wise, and they're all going to be looking at each other like, "What?"
I know. That's cool.
It really helps you learn about each other that way,
Yeah.
for sure. You find out like what kind of music your kids are listening to, and the kids are
Yep.
finding out about what kind of music grandma and grandpa used to listen to, and
Yeah.
if you look at it that way, it's a kind of a family educational experience.
It is.
I love it because it also it's the history of music, because even now if you look at a lot of music, everybody's incorporating styles from way back when into now. So I think it's super cool to get going. I want to bring our next guest on that Rob introduced to us, Matt Scott. He is the author of the Find Something Awesome How-To Book Series for Kids. There's 4 different levels. They're quality. It's just they're beautiful,
books.
Amazing illustrations, stories. It's something that parents can sit down with their kids and really connect with them and have a discussion, and gets them to think. It gets them to take fear out of their lives, which I really like, and also to have positive, think of things and make a choice. Are you going to spend today in a positive or a negative mode? It's like as soon as you wake up, which button are you going to push in your brain? And this is like brain food for kids and soul food as well. So go to findsomethingawesome.com. Of course, it's also available on Amazon, as is Spontaneous, the board game. Welcome back, Matt. How are you?
I'm great, thanks. Thanks for having me. Hey, Rob.
Hey, Matt.
Yeah, right on. This is cool.
It is cool. I'm glad we could have you both
Very
on
cool.
the show together. And Matt, tell everybody a little bit of an overview of your book series, Find Something Awesome, and even the title. What was it like? Oh, I'm going to do this as a title, and the whole series is going to be under that name.
Yeah, you know what? The whole series is literally what you've been saying. It's about how to use your brain, and that was the original the original tagline. And we all have one. We all use them. We all get angry. We all get frustrated. We all can be happy. But nobody's really teaching what all of that means and how to do it. And I've always been searching my whole life through self-help books and things like this, and through meditation and such. And when I finally had 3 kids, or not at once, but I finally had kids, and I'm trying to teach them these things, and I'm like, you know what? I started looking for stuff, and there really wasn't anything out there down to that level. And I kind of it's funny, but I came across Aesop's Fables, and I'm certain that that's a bestseller. So I started reading it to my kids, and lo and behold, they love it. Right? They're 4 years old, 5 years old. And they couldn't wait to hear the moral. And then, what does that mean, Daddy? What does that mean? And I'm like, holy cow, I've got these little kids here that are just starving for how to and what's going on and what does that mean. And so I started looking for more, and I kept literally getting stuck at Aesop's Fables for anything that was sort of a discussion-based, story-based situation. And so I started writing my own, and I've had a lot of fun with it. And at this point, even book 5 is coming out. We're doing the illustrations now, and then we have another one that is sort of a prequel. Meant more as a gift. That's called Big Scoop of Something, that's coming out, and that one is done and ready for print. So it's been fun, and what I really like to nutshell it, I feel like there's a huge need, as I'm sure Bobby does, and there's a huge need to understand how to use your brain and what's going on, and things like the programs Bobby is putting together with the 8 Keys of Excellence are exactly right. And those are meant for, I'm not dialed into it 100%, but I think they're meant for older kids, and some of the messaging in my books can start earlier, and then it certainly goes to that teenage, all the way to that teenage situation. So it's been fun.
I love this because the other tie-in, and I want before we get into the 8 keys, I want to have Rob tell everyone the story he told me about. You've got to meet my friend Matt, and to get his books, you got to get him on the show, and the story about with your daughter. But Bobby, your last book, your recent book with Barbara Given, teaching excellence in teaching and learning, the quantum learning system. That's about using your brain. I mean, it's all like you got neurology and all kinds of good stuff in there. I mean, isn't that part of quantum learning? Is how to, control your brain?
It is, and without just giving strategies, people want to know the why behind it, because they often don't have the motivation to use it unless they really understand what's in it for me and why am I doing this and where does it connect. And then they have more motivation to keep using it or trying it or applying it to their life.
Very cool. So that ties in exactly what, Matt, what you're talking about, get that movement going with kids early on. And Bobby, the 8 Keys of Excellence, let's talk about the age part. I know Super Camp too. Let's talk about that. What are the ages to start the 8 Keys of Excellence and then the ages for Super Camp?
Well, the 8 Keys of Excellence does expand, and we have another set of definitions. So we have a primary set of definitions. As we get into integrity, as we talk today about the definition, the one for primary is just do the right thing. So it's more of a simplified, direct, and some people like those definitions at all age, actually. So in schools, we teach them to the teachers who teach them to the students, so it's all ages. And Super Camp, we do middle school, high school, and college-age programs, so that's where they get them there.
Excellent. So, Rob, tell us the story of find something awesome that you told me about, hanging out with Matt's daughter and scaring her or trying to.
Well, I was in California several years ago. I had a bunch of meetings with Mattel and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and I always stay at Matt's place. He's from Montana, as I am, and he's kind of been a mentor to me in the past. I just love going and listening to his wisdom about how things apply to life in general, and it was kind of a neat experience because we were talking about this kind of stuff, and I remember chasing his kids around, playing tag or whatever around the couch, and his daughter came running back around the couch towards me, and I kind of put my foot down and was like, "Rawr!" And she came right at me, and it was like, rainbows and butterflies. And I was like, what? And Matt kind of looked at me and said, "What did she say?" And I said, "She said rainbows and butterflies." And he started laughing. What was that all about? And he goes, "Well, she was having some trouble sleeping the other night, and I came in her room and she was bawling, and basically, I she was worried about monsters or something being in her closet or under her bed, and I started telling her that monsters are actually afraid of your favorite things." And she was like, "Really?" And she said, "Well, what are some of your favorite things?" And she said, "Rainbows." And he said, "Well, what's another one of your favorite things?" And she said, "Butterflies." And yeah, monsters are afraid of rainbows and butterflies. And so when she saw me, do the raw thing to her, she came right back at me and was like, rainbows and butterflies. And I stopped dead in my tracks because it caught me off guard.
Boogeyman out there.
I don't know if she was like 5 years old. Yeah, there's this 5-year-old that just like stopped me, and so he told me the story about this. I'm like, dude, yeah, I've been thinking about writing a book. I'm like, you need to do it. Like, this is awesome. This is so cool. Like, you need to do it. And so, probably within the next year, I think you had it written, didn't you, Matt?
Yeah, and then I kept diving into it with my kids as we've all grown together, and the second one came out. I ended up publishing the first two at the same time. The second one's called "Have You Ever Thanked a Rainbow?" The first one's called "What Color Is Your Butterfly?" And basically, in 2 words, it's love and give thanks, and why, and what does it do, and how does it work, and all of these things. So it's been pretty fun. I enjoy Rob's experience with that. We've got a lot of those stories, and it's always a continual work in progress, and you keep working through it, and the whys become more meaningful and deeper, but the ultimate messages are still exactly right. You find something that you imagine something that you love, or you find something that you love, you're literally loving. That's what you're doing. You're saying, wow, that palm tree is beautiful. That is really an awesome thing to look at right now. Well, what you're doing with your mind is you're loving. You're shutting off the negativity. You're coming to your current moment. However you want to say these things, it's all the same thing, and you can dumb it all down in one statement. Find something awesome. Look around. Try and find something awesome that you're thankful for. Then be thankful for it. And I mean, they're really simple steps, and to do them is the hard part. But to not know them at all, makes you have to reinvent the wheel. So I felt like there needed to be something out there to say, hey, this is what you can do. This is what negativity is, and this is how you turn it off, and this is how this is the only way to turn it off. The only way that I've found to turn off negativity is to find something awesome and appreciate what you have right now. And, to teach that lesson is, I've said in the past should be the ultimate purpose of every educational system out there. It should be teaching people how to find something awesome and be thankful, and why, as Bobby was saying. And that should be it. And if you really dive into those two things, then you're getting into the power of now, and you're getting into Christianity, and you're getting into law of attraction, and you're getting into all these other methods, so to speak, that get you away from negativity. And they all have the same messages. It's all love and be thankful, and then set your goal and watch the world respond. And it's incredible. I love that we're talking about integrity and excellence today, because they pan exactly into those two messages. You can't have a creative mind, or you can't be positive unless you know how to love, what it means, what it does, and how to be thankful, and then you're moving forward.
Right on. Bobby, I know I want to get into the 8 keys to talk about each of the different keys of excellence, but and that's part of the 8 keys is building that confidence, which is that positive role, right, Bobby?
Yes, when you know yourself and you have good values and they're your core, you feel good about yourself. And that's how you have that confidence. And someone asks you your opinion, you feel good about who you are, what you think, and will share with others.
And so the 8 keys of excellence, again, if you go to 8keys.org, and that's the number 8, 8keys.org, and also encourage communities to really adopt this in the schools, in even board meetings, City Hall, and all of that good stuff. Go to communitiesofexcellence.org. I know we're going to be diving into that a little deeper on some of our other platforms in tourism, and we're going to be continuing that conversation further through this year and going forth. So keep watch on that, and also you can go to 8 Keys of Excellence on Facebook. All of these interviews and videos and things get posted there too. So Bobby, let's start with number 1. Is our main thing we're talking today is live in integrity.
Yes, integrity is matching your values with your actions. Failure leads to success is learn from mistakes. Speak with good purpose. Speak kindly and honestly. This is it. Make the most of every moment. Commitment. Make your dreams happen. Ownership. Take responsibility for actions. Flexibility. Be willing to do things differently. And balance is live your best life.
I love this. I love this. Okay, so now let's get into the discussion of what excellence is and integrity. So I'm going to ask each of you, what does that mean to you? Because a lot of times, people think of success. I know as we, travel the country and talk to people in communities, and we do our seminars on smart tourism and smart partnering, we talk about the 8 keys of excellence. And so many times I hear people, oh, you're doing your pillars of success, and I'm like, no. Success and excellence are 2 different things, and that was, speak of failure leads to success, we realized we needed to start with excellence first. So that's why we do this on every 8 Keys of Excellence show first, so that we can keep that word, what is excellence versus success. So Bobby, let's start with you on that.
We define excellence as good qualities and high degree, which is in the dictionary as well. But it's that ongoing essence, and we talk about a different success is good, it's accomplishment and goals, but excellence is that ongoing essence of who we are. There's a man who was head of Hearst newspapers, His name was Bob Danzig, and he said he grew up in 5 foster homes, and you know, he had paper in the bottom of his shoes because they had holes in them, and that's who he was. But he got some type of, errand position at the newspaper, and he said there was one salesman there, and it just changed everything for him because it said that salesperson, he said he harbored an extraordinary dedication to excellence. He dressed with excellence. He carried himself with excellence and treated his customers with excellence. He showed me how to tune into excellence. So that is his mentor for his life, and he ended up being head of the Hearst newspapers.
Wow. Like, don't mess with that.
Yeah, really.
I know. So this is because that's a habit. It's a way of life, and I think it's about really being true to yourself too. So how does it resonate for you when you think about excellence and integrity, Bobby? Personally, and then also when you look at integrity, for SuperCamp and Quantum Learning Network and everything you do, because it's so funny. Like over the years talking with you, Bobby, and on the shows and reading your articles and your books. It just seems like every time you open your mouth to say something, there's an excellence attached to it. There's it's like that's it. That's how you live your life. I can't put it any other way.
It becomes who you are.
Yeah.
We say it becomes you. It becomes who you are, and it becomes your essence of who you are. And we talk about how many things overlap and intertwine with excellence in the 8 keys. And that when we say excellence is defined as good qualities and high degree, and then integrity is about being very clear on your values and that your actions match your values. So you can talk about your values in high degree, but that they become a true reflection, of everything we do and say. Our values become who we are, and people see it. It's an expression. It's almost like a billboard of here I am. People see it. And when you live these high values, people see that you are a person of excellence.
I like that. And integrity, it's about knowing who you are. I want to go to Rob. Excellence and integrity, it's to me, it's watching your 8 years of, by talking, we've known you for over a year now, but talking to you and interviewing you a few times just on what your road to success and has been. I mean, look at your Amazon bestseller now. Number 1, when you look at everything, there are a lot of offers people gave you for Spontaneous, right? And a lot of different opportunities. I remember the very, very first time I talked to you, even before we hit the record button for that very first interview, you talked about, I had all these, opportunities, offers, and, you were like, that would be selling out for your dream.
Yeah, it would be. I mean, I can think of, that one of those times when I went and stayed at Matt's place. I was in town for a meeting with Randy Jackson's crew, creative crew, and they ended up putting together an offer for a TV game show. And I was talk about excited. I was like, I'm gonna have a TV game show, with Randy Jackson, and then I get the offer in, and they basically wanted the rights to everything, and including the board game. They wanted a huge cut of that, and I just, I was desperate at the time, and I had to literally just walk away from it because it wasn't worth it to me. I put in so much time and effort and hard work into developing it this far, and I think at the time it was probably four years into it. And my lawyer didn't even want me to respond to him, and I said, well, can I at least talk to Randy's manager and tell her kind of my honest thoughts on it? And he said, yeah, that's fine. And so I just told her, I said, I've worked too hard for this, and I think that if you really wanted to give me a serious offer, I'd be happy to listen to that. But I can't take this as a serious offer. And it was kind of a slap in the face because, I would be giving up everything that I believed in order to take that deal. And so I just ultimately I said, I'd rather keep it myself and risk going broke I'll be staying true to what I believe in by doing that, and so that's what I chose to do.
And now, when you look at your success, like just even this last, Christmas season, you get to these goals, right? You reach these goals, you get these success levels, and then isn't part of excellence for you as you look into the future about now how do I keep it there, and keep moving that momentum going?
Yeah, I mean, I think to me, excellence is always continually improving yourself and, the direction you're heading. And, looking back at that scenario, I'm glad that I kept it because I was able to hold on and improve it to the point to where it reached number one on Amazon. And, yeah, now my goal is, I don't want to slip, and not be number one going forward. So it's like, what do I have to do to continue to get the word out and continue to improve? Just because you're at number one doesn't mean you can't be better, and that's
right.
kind of the way I look at things, is always look to improve yourselves, on every single day. You wake up and you say, how can I be better today? And that kind of, to me, is a form of excellence.
Right on. I like that. I like that. What about for you, Matt? Excellence. What does that mean to you?
It is getting the corn dog to thaw out perfectly without overcooking it or undercooking it in the microwave. It's always no. I'm just kidding. Excellence to me, I've thought about this, is quite literally living and utilizing a giving purpose. And so, you ask yourself, why am I doing this? Why am I doing this? What's the intent? And, it should be a giving purpose. It's not, all about me. It's about other people. And so a giving purpose is also defined as an open heart. You're doing it. You talked about integrity. Integrity is defined in a few ways, of course, but one of them is doing the right thing. Okay, and then there's another one that's doing the right thing for the right reasons, and there's another one that says doing the right thing as if doing the right thing even though nobody's watching. Right? All of those are very important, and so if you really are doing the right thing, it's because of a giving purpose. And I really like the show Cars. You watched the cartoon show Cars? Have you guys seen that?
No.
Oh, you should watch it. It's excellent. That and Kung Fu
I've seen
Panda.
little clips of it where they talk and they have that truck thing. Wasn't the Larry the Cable Guy the truck?
Yeah, he's Mater. So at the end of Cars 1, I don't want to spoil it for anybody if you haven't seen it. It's been out for a long time. But integrity was he was going to win the race, right? And he was going to get all of these accolades for winning the race. And he was, but meanwhile, his mentor had crashed back behind him. And so he literally, at the beginning of the movie, he would have gone right through the finish line and said, wow, thank you, I'm awesome, everything's great, and he'd be number one. But in that show, he slams on the brakes, stops at the finish line, obviously gives up a victory, and goes back and pushes his mentor across the finish line. Okay? That's integrity. That's doing things for the right reasons. And it's not even it's doing things for the right reasons even when everyone's watching. He would have gotten all these accolades, but really his giving purpose was to love. It was to have a giving purpose in the first place. And guess what happens at the end of the show? He's an ultimate hero. Everybody really loves him, not because he won, but because he does the right thing. And the guy who actually wins the race is the bad guy, quote unquote. And so the lessons are being taught in these movies and cartoons that are out there, but having the kids understand what's really going on, like, hey, why did he stop? What's going on? Well, what happened to him when he did give up the victory? Well, people loved him anyway. And so in giving you receive is that lesson also. It's a giving purpose. You're loving first and doing it for the right reasons. That's integrity. If he won that race because he wanted to win so everybody would love him and he would be number one, well, ultimately that's not a giving purpose goal, right? And so, the lesson in that movie is very powerful to integrity and excellence, and it's doing the right thing, as Bobby had mentioned, and even Rob had mentioned. It's his dream was to help people unite their families and have fun and smile through his board game. Well, if his dream wasn't to sell out to a big company to make mailbox money and just kind of hang out at the beach, it was to be involved in something that was bigger than him, that was going to help people connect and unite, and he knew that. Mm-hmm. And so he held on to it so he could continue to do that and steer it in the right direction. So all of these things are verbalized, and my intent in the books that I push out there is to describe, what these things are. We talked about values earlier. I'm 7, 8 years, 9 years, 17, 25 years old. I don't have a definition for what a value is. What's the difference between a value and a principle? And if you make them simple, kids can understand them. So like a value is something that you do in order to make you feel good, right? A principle is something that you do no matter how it makes you feel. And so doing the right thing sometimes doesn't necessarily feel good, but if that's one of your principles, then you're moving in the right direction. And then if you can live your life through a giving purpose, and that is your principle, in my opinion, that's excellence, and that's when the world starts responding.
Right on. Hey, Bobby, you got both. You got values, you got principles, you got excellence, you got integrity. I'm digging it. It's like, yeah, I look at the principle as the true carrot. You must eat the one that's good for you, and I like that, the mailbox money. That cracks me up because I think that, again, is those success things, and it's interesting when you think about how quick you can give up your dreams, and that to me is that integrity of not doing that. Nancy, for you, what does integrity and excellence, when you look at the two of them together, mean for you?
Both guys, you guys remind me so much of different things. Like, when you're looking at Rob turning down a TV opportunity, and then I'm thinking it's a board game. It wouldn't. Mm-hmm. I can't think of anything that would separate people more than watching television as opposed to playing a board game. Mm. Where would maybe you could all laugh together at the same joke that a comedian tells or something, but the interaction between people isn't there like playing a board game. Mm. So it wouldn't have even, it wouldn't work.
I have to jump in here. Yeah. I have to jump in here with a quote from Johnny Cash, because he is the man of integrity. He really is. A quote from him says, "Success is having to worry about every damn thing in the world except money."
Yeah.
I
like that.
It's so different from when you talk about excellence. But, yeah, Nancy, go
ahead. From Matt's point of view, too, I remember when I first got involved in the magazine world, and I'm in Africa, and I worked for this man who had Sunshine Coast magazine, and he wanted different chapters all over South Africa down the coast. And he approached me and gave me a job, and my job was sell advertising and design the magazine, take it to the printer, and get it printed, and then distribute it. So basically I did everything, and he would pay me. And he would pay the printing bill. Well, what actually happened on the very first issue, I put the whole thing together, I took it to the printer printed it, and guess who didn't pay the bill? And then I had all these advertisers that are waiting for the magazine, and I was like, oh boy, now what? So I got a lawyer, and the lawyer says, well, here you can get out of this because it's in the contract that he's going to pay the printing bill, so you can just let your advertisers go direct to him. And I got that idea, then I thought, but I really like doing this magazine, and I really don't feel good because I know these people face to face that I sold ads to. I don't feel good with that. So I paid the printing bill, and
which is never cheap.
Yeah, boy,
Rob, you know about that, and so do all three of you know about printing bills.
No, it wasn't like I had that kind of money saved up. It was really hard, but I did it, and then guess what? A month later, I owned his magazine. So there. nanny.
That's what integrity. That's what somebody else's failure leads to your success.
Yes, well, and I wasn't even thinking that way. But my lawyer said, well, let's turn it this way. If you're really going to be really silly enough to pay the bill, that's his words, then we're going to make it that you just bought his company. And then it was like, I don't know. There might be more out there that you don't know. How many bills didn't he pay? So we just turned it around that he didn't know what I did.
Right.
And
awesome.
That's how I got started in the magazine business. It wasn't like I went out to be owning a magazine. But it was because I couldn't walk down the street. I couldn't live with myself meeting an advertiser and then saying, well, go see the guy over there. He's the one who didn't pay the bill. I couldn't do it.
Well, that's that.
And look how it turned out.
Yeah. and that was just, but boy.
And now we're 21 in this country.
Yeah.
Not counting Africa
but
years.
There is that thing that, I really, to me, excellence and integrity means if you say you're going to do something, you do it.
Exactly. It's a moral code. To me, it's your moral code. It's like your piece of armor, what you wear every day. What's in your heart should be on your sleeve. You should wear your heart on your sleeve.
You've got to do it
smartly.
Even if it gets rough and it takes longer and you have to find a new way to do it, if you said you're going to do it, you do it.
I think integrity is like the biggest flagship for the 8 keys, obviously. And every single key connects with it. I think commitment is a huge part of integrity, the 5th key of excellence. Through all the interviews we've done over the years and artists and authors that we've met, I think the biggest thing, integrity to me, is artistic integrity. An artist, if you sell out to the record company, very similar to Rob's story, like if you sell out and, just, you need to do this because this is what's going to be popular versus really singing your lyrics or painting the painting, you can see who you are as an artist. And I think a lot of the videos we've even done on integrity with artists, it's like art is integrity because you're putting yourself out there, what you truly, see, what you feel when you dance, whatever, mode you're in or medium you're in. But then for me, it is finding who you are because an artist needs to know what they're painting, what they're doing. And to me, it is about artistic integrity is what we do with our lives. We are creating our lives. We can create. We're co-creating if you want to go from the spiritual side. There's a creative side where you, like what Rob says, you wake up in the morning, what's going to get better today? What am I going to do? Am I living my principles, my values? And you create your life. And once you discover what you want to do, what you want to be when you grow up, or, it could be you want to be a musician, but you're going to have a side job, so your musical integrity is, taken care of because you have a side job to pay the bills. A lot of musicians do that. So to me, integrity is about being who you truly are, your authentic self, and having that passion, because then when you're truly who you are, in the good and the bad, you got to look at it all, then you can move forward, and it just seems like everything opens up. The world opens up instead of hiding behind what everybody else told you what to be, who you are. It's about you. Bobby, am I right on that? Am I okay with that?
Yes, it all gets down to it's about who you are.
It's all about me.
Makes you up.
Man, it's a great conversation here. We want to go into stories. I know a few of you have told some stories, some personal stories too, business stories, but we always like to share something that everyone can connect with. And, Hollywood history has to do with that. So everyone, it's time for a little Hollywood history. You guys ready? Bobby, you love your Hollywood. I know she does.
Absolutely.
It's just like Matt, right? The movies do tell. So here is a little Hollywood history from our good friend Steve Schneikert. And everyone, you can see him up on blendradioandtv.com. In fact, if you go to the expert department, you'll see Matt there as our positive parenting expert, spontaneous Rob, our tunesmith, but also now a.k.a. road trip reporter, and also Bobby as our education expert, and Steve, of course. So here it is, a little Hollywood history on integrity.
integrity. Demonstrate your positive personal values in all you do and say. Be sincere and real. Frank Capra was to movies what Norman Rockwell was to illustration. He gave us a vision of our national identity that never ignored the challenges we face, although it was idealistic about our ability to meet them. 1939's Mr. Smith Goes to Washington, made on the brink of World War II, was criticized for its portrayal of dishonesty and cynicism in Washington. But ultimately, it was recognized for the very patriotic and loyal statement that it is. The film opens as a succession of reporters shout into telephones announcing the death of Senator Samuel Foley. Senator Joseph Payne, Claude Rains, the state's senior senator, puts the call to Governor Hubert Happy Hopper, Guy Kibbe, reporting the news. Hopper then phones powerful media magnate Jim Taylor, Edward Arnold, who controls the state, along with the lawmakers. Taylor orders Hopper to appoint an interim senator to fill out Foley's term. Taylor has proposed a pork barrel bill to finance an unneeded dam at Willett Creek. So he warns Hopper. He wants a senator who can't ask any questions or talk out of turn. After having a number of appointees rejected, at the suggestion of his children, Hopper nominates local hero Jefferson Smith, James Stewart, leader of the state's Boy Rangers group. Smith is an innocent, wide-eyed idealist who quotes Jefferson and Lincoln and idolizes Senator Payne, who had known his crusading editor father. In Washington, after a humiliating introduction to the press corps, Smith threatens to resign, but Payne encourages him to stay and work on a bill for a national boys' camp. With the help of his cynical secretary, Clarissa Saunders, Jean Arthur, Smith prepares to introduce his boys' camp bill to the Senate. But when he proposes to build the camp on the Willett Creek site, Taylor and Payne force him to drop the measure. Smith discovers Taylor and Payne want the Willett Creek site for graft and attempts to expose them. But Payne deflects Smith's charges by accusing Smith of stealing money from the Boy Rangers. Defeated, Smith is ready to depart Washington, but a visit to the Lincoln Memorial reminds him of what he hopes to accomplish, along with Saunders, whose patriotic zeal has been renewed by Smith, exhorts him to stay and fight. Smith returns to the Senate chamber, and while Taylor musters the media forces in his state to destroy him, Smith engages in a climatic filibuster to speak his piece. I've got a few things I want to say to this body. I tried to say them once before, and I got stopped colder than a mackerel. Well, I'd like to get them said this time, sir. As a matter of fact, I'm not going to leave this body until I do get them said. To thine own self be true. Cheers, Jefferson Smith. Cheers, Frank Capra. I'm Steve Schneikert, and this is Hollywood History as I recall it.
There's our big drums at the end there. Awesome. That was excellent. Senor Steve Schneikert, everybody. Again, you can find more of his Hollywood history segments on blendradioandtv.com. Just go to our expert department. Bobby, I know you love Hollywood history, but I know this is integrity, what he was talking about, and such a good piece on it. But wouldn't you also say that connects with commitment?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, we're committed to live our values too, that they're there, but it's this ongoing commitment to what they are. We do look at the way we define values matching our actions, that these are values of good purpose, because we do get in discussion sometimes with students, if I value money, can I go rob a bank? So it's always of value of good purpose, where we feel good and we're building ourselves and others up. And I think about the values because, I value family. Well, that's easy for me. I want to go spend time with them. And then I look at something like health, okay? Then I learn about the difference between motivation and discipline. I'm motivated to go spend time with my family, and there's lots of things about health that I'm motivated and want to do, but I'm not one that really likes to physically exercise, and go to the gym, and that takes discipline. And so that's discipline for me. And we define it as discipline as doing what needs to be done when it needs to be done, when you don't want to do it. And motivation is doing what needs to be done when you want to do it, when you want to do it. So it's that difference in really knowing it. So the values to us are ones of good purpose, and then we're looking at our actions are an expression of that.
Very cool. Very cool. So can you share a story with us on integrity, Bobby, whether it's personal, from your professional life, or from a movie, or whatever you want to share it from?
Well, this one is a story I just love because it's from a teacher. Her name's Stephanie, and she's a teacher in Nashville. And she emailed me. And such a beautiful email, it just impacted me so much to read it because of the work we do. But what she said, I have been teaching the Quantum Learning 8 Keys of Excellence since the beginning of the year. My students are routinely noticed in the hallway and during their special classes for excellent behavior. Friday was a bit off. I was pulled out of the lunchroom. And on this day, during lunch, the students, two of them got into racial slurs against one another. One thing led to another, and pretty soon 3/4 of the class were fighting in the classroom. I walked back into the lunchroom to see this, and the students looked up and they lined up against the wall. Needless to say, I was disappointed. 6 of them were in tears. She said, I walked back to my room in utter silence. I hung my head and showed my disappointment but didn't say anything. My students knew. She said, the teacher gave hand motion. We do these hand motions that represent the keys, and all she had to do was a hand motion. She said, my students knew from my hand actions it was the key of integrity and for values and actions, and that I was very disappointed. They understood that I was reminding them of that key I had learned. I wouldn't look at them. I wouldn't speak. My silence was deafening. We entered the room. It was so quiet you could hear the clock ticking. I sat in front of the room and then, in complete awe and amazement, watched as each one of my students showed that they wanted to take ownership for their actions. I sat and watched for a moment as each of them returned to their desks. And then, to more amazement, one of the brave students stood at his desk and apologized what he did. And the class responded, we forgive you. I sat in complete amazement and pride, my eyes filled with tears of joy, knowing that they had learned something far more valuable than textbook lesson this day. I waited for each child to respond and take turns saying, sorry, I forgive you. Finally, I spoke for the first time during this whole episode. I told them how proud I was and how much they had learned. I believe the 8 Keys of Excellence character words have done their job, and my students are truly learning good character. What a blessing and a joy to have witnessed this. Wow. It was a moment I will always treasure.
That's powerful.
Cool.
That is powerful.
That's great.
I mean, it is. I mean, it's like now they're thinking, and that's what I love about the 8 Keys is it gets kids to think, and adults. I mean, that's something we've witnessed,
Exactly.
And and I know for myself, it always just like, oh yeah, how are you gonna do this? But I love also it brings in the take ownership key of excellence, because I know the one thing we learned, going around to schools with you, Bobby, and also being put in your teacher's training.
Yeah.
I don't know if you want to do that again. No, actually, we learned so much. It was about messaging, and I learned so much from it. Really, it was one of the most fun days. When you always talk about being above the line, and that's really part of that take ownership, but it brings in integrity. It's like, is your action above the line or below the line?
Yes.
And that's something I think it's that line, and you talk about it in your book too, The 8 Keys of Excellence. You talk about integrity. It's like, oh, I'm passionate for this, but if you actually brought in terrorism, as I remember reading this years ago. You brought in like, I may feel like, okay, I'm going to fight for my country, but that doesn't mean you start, going over to another country and blowing them up. You know what I mean? There's a line of integrity of where is your passion. And who you are, where you've got to have those values of being nice and kind and caring and love, like Matt was saying. So, wow, that is powerful, Bobby. You got to feel good. I mean, you've got to have so many of these stories, through over 35 years of doing this. It's just it's amazing. Rob, for you, do you have a story of integrity to share with us?
Yeah, I think
another one.
Growing up on another one, right? Well, what comes to my mind is growing up on a farm and ranch, especially from lessons from my grandfather. He would always tell me that your word is your honor, and that's kind of stuck with me for all these years. And now you fast forward to where I'm at, or where I was at here in the last few years, and I was in a big time capital crunch where I was out of money, and I couldn't move forward with pursuing my dream and my passion and taking this board game forward, because I didn't have the money to do so. And I basically, even before then, my very first loan with the bank, it was given to me without a business plan. Without any kind of collateral or anything, because I had worked for the banker. I worked for U.S. Bank for 2 years prior to that, and so my boss knew me, and he got to know me as a person, and he knew my integrity. He made me that loan. I promised him, if I have to, I'll go work in the oil field somewhere to pay this thing back, but I'll get it paid back. I'll do whatever it takes. And he said, okay, and he gave me the money. Well, fast forward to, just a few years ago, and I had run out of money. I'd maxed that line of credit out, and here I was, basically, how am I going to pay this thing back? And I'm in Austin, Texas, and I decided that the best thing I could do to make money to pay the $4,000 a month in interest to the bank, which I promised I would pay, was I started pedicabbing. And so here I am. I've got an MBA, and I kind of put my pride aside and went out on the streets of Austin and started pedicabbing people around at nights, 3 to 4 nights a week, in order to be able to make that payment. And I still, at that point, I couldn't get, I think it was a little too scary for any friends or family to loan me money at that time. But then after I was able to do that for a good year or so, I had one more, requirement for capital. And I think a lot of my friends, especially from college, had seen that I had gone through all these, hardships, including a brain surgery, and I had persevered, and I wasn't ever going to give up. And they realized, hey, you know what? He is a man of integrity. And I think that a lot of them already knew that, but I think this really solidified that. And so I was able to utilize this loan program where if I could get, between 2 and 9 people, which are called backers, to loan me a total of 25% of the money I was looking for, then this other company would loan me, they're called Able Lending, they would loan me the other 75%. Well, one of my first calls was to a buddy from college, and he's an old farm kid, and I basically told him my story and how much I needed, or what I was trying to do, and he's like, "How much do you need?" And I said, "Well, I need about 37,000 total." I said, "Do you think you could do 10?" And without ever looking at my numbers or anything, he said, "Yeah, I can do that. You promise you'll pay me back?" And I said, "Yep." He's like, "Okay." And so he loaned me the money. And I'm proud to say that, I was able to get 8 people joined on as backers and loaned me the total of $37,000 so that I could get the other money that I needed from Mabel in order to buy more inventory and sell it. And I promised to pay him back in 3 years, and I paid him back in 6 months.
Wow.
So I paid him back well ahead of what I told him that I would. And, I think that, if I hadn't had that integrity, those lessons that I had learned from my grandfather and stuff like that, your word is your honor, they would have never trusted me. And I would have never gotten that loan from the bank originally, and I would have never gotten the loans from them to keep on going when I was in dire need. So I think at the end of the day, the only thing I really have is my integrity. It's my reputation, and that's the one thing I protect more than anything is my reputation. And I believe that if someone is constantly thinking about that and trying to improve that it's only going to do them good in life going forward.
I agree with you, because like I said, you got to wear it. You're wearing it. You're wearing who you are on your sleeve if you're being true to yourself, and that means you're going to clean up all the doo-doo real fast. Because it's like if you're going to live a life of integrity, you got some cleaning to do, and I'm constantly cleaning. I'm a Virgo, so I'm a neat freak.
Well, and what the cool thing now is that I've paid them all back, and every single one of them has said, if you ever need to come back to this well, it will always be full for you.
Oh, that's really nice.
That's integrity. And you had commitment. Again, I keep seeing this integrity and commitment, take ownership. It's like, I know all the keys work together, but sometimes there's these really strong themes with it. Let's talk to you, Matt. A story of integrity. Is it going to be another cartoon movie?
It could be. It could be. I've got millions. I want to give a simple one that we can all do probably today or tomorrow and watch what happens, watch what your brain does. We talk about doing the right thing for the right reasons and paying attention to your brain and what it tells you to do. So, for instance, the next time, you're in a public restroom, you use the bathroom, and you see signs everywhere that say, please wash your hands. If nobody's in there to see you not wash your hands, do you wash your hands, or do you wash your hands more often when other people are in there seeing you wash or not wash your hands? And so, myself, I'm just as guilty. Oh, nobody's in here. Nobody can see I didn't wash my hands. I'm in a hurry. I have to go. But the integrity is, you know what? You need to wash your hands. It comes from the inside, no matter what other people are or are not seeing. And so the reaction is to just say, oh, man, nobody's here to see me. No big deal. I'm out of here. But we all do it, right? It's a natural reaction. If somebody's in there, you're going to probably be 90% more likely to wash your hands because you care what they're thinking about. And, that's your ego that's literally leading your actions, where instead you need to lead your actions from the inside, no matter who is or who is not looking. And so that's a really easy test for integrity, is just to pay attention to which voice you're listening to. And, I do it every time I'm in the bathroom, to be honest with you, because it seems like I'm always in a hurry. And the voice always says, no, get out of here. Your kid's pulling on your leg. Your wife is outside waiting for you. You really didn't touch anything. Whatever your brain's trying to tell you to do, it's trying to deceive you from what's probably the right thing to do, which is to wash your hands. But you're going to have a million excuses until you walk over there and turn on the faucet. So that's a really easy
hysterical.
one.
That
right?
is hysterical, and I have sound effects for it, but I'll behave.
Actually, that's a really good book right there. Did you wash your hands?
Did you wash your hands? Well, okay, here's another bathroom thing. Go to Las Vegas, Nevada. Not to say Nevada since we've been covering New Mexico, Las Vegas, but go in the bathroom and you can see where everybody is and their amount of consumption. You walk in the bathroom and go, cocktails, and see how many people go, yes, please, while they're in the bathroom.
No, they all raise their hands.
We do that everywhere. If you go to Vegas, that's the first thing we do is run into the bathroom to see how many people.
And say cocktails, and then all these hands go up. It's so funny.
Seriously, that's just the thing to do. But hopefully they'll wash those hands. That's hysterical, Matt. Bobby, did you ever think of integrity being put as washing your hands in the bathroom?
No, never brought that one up.
It's the voice. Everybody has that voice.
Yeah.
Everybody has that voice, and so to be true to yourself. So, another one, like for me, it's easy. Yeah, of course, I want to look like the guy in the yoga pictures and ripped, and and it's like, well, I want to be in great shape and all these things, and so you create this image, and I wake up in the morning and I say, oh, you know what, I'm going to do it tomorrow. I'll start tomorrow. Well, that's not being true to yourself, and so to either change the image that you're seeking, or in understanding why you're seeking that image in the first place, it's more about, for me now, it's more about just being healthy, not to look like the guy in the
right, exactly,
for
and
the
did
thing.
he clean
but I
his
just
hands?
want to be healthy. But your body says no immediately, and that's you like to call that sloth, but it's your body saying no. It's the biology that you have saying no. And so to have integrity is to create the dream for the right reasons, and then to take the actions that are necessary to get there, or change your dream, And so when you align those things and you realize that, you know what, I'm always going to have to battle this voice. It's probably never going to go away, but how do I turn it off? How do I turn off the voice that says, oh, you know what, you don't need to wash your hands. You're good. You didn't touch anything and you're in a hurry. Everybody's going to have it. It's an initial reaction, but how do you turn it off? How do you turn off the voice that says, stay in bed, it's warm? And the answer is to love. Again, it's to find something awesome. It's to turn off that voice. It's to turn on the one that says, I'm awesome, I can do this. And it's to take that step forward. And what I've found is with it is the only way to do it. And I've also found is with practice, it gets easier. And so, in the books, I'm awesome, I can do this is one of the powerful statements of turning off that other voice. And anyway, so it's just something to really pay attention to, because we all do it, and we do it in the simplest of tasks. And if you recognize when you're self-defeating, quite literally, of not washing your hands because you know you're supposed to, you start to recognize it in more situations, and then you can combat it, you can love it, and you can move forward or change your idea of what you're trying to accomplish. So
right on.
So
I
those
have to go
those
wash
are
my
great.
hands.
I know. I want to move forward. Nancy, you have a story too?
Okay, this is an old African fable, which I'll be really quick. This old African king realized that he didn't have an heir for his kingdom, and he had tried several times, and it just wasn't happening. So he gathered all his people together, and he said, I'm going to choose an heir for my kingdom from the young men. And he gave each of the young men a seed, and he said, go home, find a container or a pot or a vessel, plant this, water it faithfully every single day, come back here in 8 months, and I'm going to choose an heir for my kingdom. So all the kids ran off with their seeds. They all got pots. They put them in the dirt. They planted them. They watered them faithfully every day. And all of them had plants growing and sprouting, except for one young man. His seed didn't sprout, didn't do nothing. And he was like, wow, what's going on here? I'm watering it every day. And he brought it inside when it was cold outside, and he was ultra careful. But he had nothing growing. After the 8 months, King calls everybody together, and all these young men come forward. Some had vegetables, some had fruit, some had pine trees, and some had oak trees, little saplings growing in their pot. And here's this one young man with nothing. And the king's looking around, and he's like, man, I am so impressed with your dedication to want to be king. Look at these beautiful plants. And then he walks over to the one young man who has nothing in his pot but dirt. And he says, what happened? And the young man is like, I don't know. And he told his mom, I don't want to go. I don't want to go because the king's going to get mad at me. And his mom said, did you promise the king anything? And he told her, I promised I would water the plant every day, and I did. And she said, is that all you promised? And he said, no, I promised to come back in 8 months. And then she just looked at him. So he showed up because he promised to show up. And he really thought maybe he'd even get his head chopped off. He didn't know. He was scared to death. But he showed up, and the king is looking at him. And he turns around and he says to all the young men, I gave you seeds that could not possibly grow. They were burned in a fire, then coated to look like they could grow. I'm impressed with your dedication to want to be king, but I choose the man with the barren pot.
Wow.
That's awesome.
Isn't
that is cool. That is cool.
That's a way cool African
and,
fable.
See, that brings back commitment, too. Again.
Well, it's also the difference between success
and excellence.
And excellence.
I love that. Yeah, that's huge.
Isn't that cool?
It's huge. I think.
Yep, very cool.
When you think about the two, success and excellence, it is about that short term, and then the excellence is continuing through, and those voices in the head like Matt was talking about, and making that choice, making those choices. When I got into the music career, and I had to make the choice not to be in the music industry anymore, but we are, because I get to interview musicians all the time. But when I first really started getting up and singing on stage, I was so scared, and you guys know I talk a lot, but I couldn't even talk to the audience. I couldn't talk to the audience. I could sing, but I couldn't talk to the audience. And it did a lot of different singing things in South Africa. Got out to this country. Ended up singing with a bass player from the Allman Brothers. I didn't know who the Allman Brothers were. I didn't know what I was doing. Just tried to do some singing gigs, and then got out to California and really pushed myself to get into a band. Ended up singing with madrigal singers. I don't even know how to pronounce it. Madrigal. To make me force myself to read, and I got through. And they were like, no, you're in the band. I'm like, no way, man. I'm not doing that. I can't do it. And I, as a singer, getting in a band, and I was around all these different people who've been in it for years, I started singing like other musicians and other singers. And it was really developing my craft. But you start to become those other people. And so you start to lose who you are. And all of a sudden, I really didn't like what I was doing anymore, but I really love music, and I really love to sing, and I can sing. And I remember at this point having to just get over it and sing how you sing. And it changed the band. It changed me. There was this incredibly freeing thing about being who you are, that artistic freedom that I was talking about earlier, being able to get up there. And that's when I could really wail, and I could do the dynamics, and I could do it, and I did. And then eventually I had to have the same courage to do my own music instead of covers, and those things are so freeing. So that integrity to yourself about a craft that you do, no matter what it is, all I can say is it's really freeing, it's really hard, but it's the best thing you can ever do for yourself. Otherwise, that's when you start to get happy in places, when you're not doing who you are. And as music, to this day, man, anytime I can get out there and wail some blues, I will. So that's my thing on integrity, is getting out there and finding your voice, man, and being true to yourself. And I miss it, man. I miss it. But I don't miss the band drama, because that led to a world of lack of integrity. Okay, so we're going to play Spontaneous in a few seconds here, but we always talk about quotes. People think, whether they're leaders, there's actors, there's, spiritual advisors, there's always these amazing quotes out there. So I wanted to ask each of you a favorite quote from you that represents integrity. Let's start with you, Bobby.
Mine is, wisdom is knowing the right path to take. Integrity is taking it.
Oh, wow. Who said that?
M.H. McKee. I don't know who that is.
Me neither, but I like that. Yeah. I like that. I'm going to look it up. That's cool. That's cool. Rob, what about you? What's your favorite quote for integrity?
Mine is, with integrity, you have nothing to fear, since you have nothing to hide. With integrity, you will do the right thing, so you will have no guilt. That was Zig Ziglar.
Yep, I knew that.
You stole Nancy's, didn't you?
Did I?
I just always see he comes up with so many brilliant quotes all the time.
Yeah, he's cool.
Yeah.
For you, Matt, what's one of your favorite quotes for integrity?
I don't know. I just Googled earlier today, and I'm really big into Kung Fu Panda, so I wanted to see if they had said anything to to push it out there. And they said a million things, but the one I'm going to apply is from Master Shifu, who of course is the master of Kung Fu Panda, at least the first one. He says, "You need only see, feel, and act from the heart. Let the heart guide you to your peaceful enlightenment." And so if you're following, and the way I see that is if you're following your heart, and that is your true purpose, that's how other people are going to see that you have integrity. And so it shouldn't even be a battle.
Right on. I like that. Nancy, what about you?
Okay, this time I chose Confucius.
Mm.
The strength of a nation derives from the integrity of the home.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah.
I like that.
Nice.
Okay, so mine goes with the voice still, okay?
The voice?
The voice, yeah, finding your voice. Mine goes, it's from Will Rogers, so I had to bring him in.
He's cool. Lead
your life so you wouldn't be ashamed to sell the family parrot to the town gossip.
Oh, that's funny.
I love that. But now it is time. So everyone, again, 8 Keys, go to 8keys.org. Be part of it. It's a free family program. Come be part of the 50 million. Let's rock the excellence effect around the world and across the country. Let's do it. Go to 8keys.org, the number 8. Okay, so it's time to play Spontaneous because, hey, who doesn't want to play Spontaneous every Sunday? Seriously.
Fun.
It should be, talk about a habit, a good habit. It's a good habit, Spontaneous. Rob, are you ready to tell everybody how to play this? And there's the board game, and then it's our radio version.
Absolutely. The super simple concept is that I'm going to say a word, and you're going to try to sing the first song that pops into your head that has that word in it. And when I say sing a song, that means just sing at least 5 words of the lyrics that has that given word in it. Go ahead. What were you going to say?
I was going to say it. Last time, I know you weren't able to be on our anniversary show last week, our 11th anniversary with Bobby and everyone. We played Spontaneous, and I told everyone how you were broken down outside Carlsbad Caverns, but you got to have lunch 7,000 feet down under the ground.
Yep.
So you had a good time, but I gave people the words, and I did okay, except for I don't think I gave the right word to Bobby. Is there a technique on coming up with the right words? Can you help us with that?
Well, in the game, the object is to try to stump the other players, so you'll want to come up with more of an obscure word.
Okay.
But if that 15 seconds expires and no one was able to sing a word or sing a song with that word in it, then you're going to have to prove it. So you'd have to sing a song yourself. If you don't or you can't, you get penalized. So that's kind of the key to that, to picking a word there. But in a radio version like this, I like to pick words that are a little more common. That just makes it a little bit more fun in this setting. So definitely don't want to try to. If you're picking them and I'm not around, don't try to stump them.
Well, I did okay. I always try to match the word to the person, but on this game, because it's radio, we do 10 seconds, so it's the speed round of Spontaneous. So the first person that gets to go is Bobby, Rob, so off you both go.
All right. Bobby, I think a good word for you would be heart.
Heart. Heart. It's like you are the center of my heart. You are the apple of my heart. No, I don't know.
You're the sunshine of my heart.
You are the sunshine of my heart. I don't know what that is. It's like sunshine on my shoulders. Sunshine. I'm walking sunshine.
Oh, she gets it. Oh, boom. I'm sorry. Put a little love in your heart. There you go. That's
Okay.
I don't know. But
Heartbreak Hotel.
yeah. Here we go. Here we go. There's always a next time, Bobby. You know, on this
There is.
always
There
a
is.
next time to play Spontaneous. Okay. So, Rob, Matt is the next person. We haven't had Matt on the show playing Spontaneous, but I know, Matt, you've played Spontaneous with your family, right?
Only because I forced them to hear me sing.
Oh, good.
No.
Good
Yes,
job.
That's
That's
we
integrity
play.
for you.
It's fun. My kids are getting to that age where it's applicable. Yeah, it's fun.
Okay.
We have a good time. And again, sitting around the table, goofing off. To be honest, the game turns into more laughter and conversation. You know, and you're like, we only played this 6 times and it's been an hour. You know, so it's a lot of fun.
Right on. Okay, Rob, give Matt his word.
Matt, boy, your word is road.
Road?
Yeah.
ROAD?
Mm-hmm.
He's stalling.
Oh my gosh. I'm thinking of the Dirt Road country song. Oh gosh.
On the road again.
Country
road
road.
again.
Take
me home.
That was 15
Just
seconds.
can't wait to
That
get
felt
on
like
the
5.
road again.
You get 10
Oh,
seconds
what's
on
the-
this game.
And cruise.
Wow, Rob. Okay, now you got to get
Dang,
Nancy.
I can't believe it. I'm always out to get Nancy. You know that.
I know. Get Nancy. Target.
What did I do?
Nancy, let's think here. How about sunshine?
You are the sunshine of my life. You're the sunshine of my life.
That's she got it. You are the sunshine of my life.
Why don't we know the second part?
Because
And you'll always be around.
That's
Yeah.
that's 5 words. You got
Yeah,
it.
that's 5.
You are
This is the thing
sunshine
about
of-
this. Having that 5 words, then you start seeing everybody start to count their fingers, like, you know, when we're kids, like 1, 2, 3, 4.
Mhm. Exactly.
That's it. Rob, you get one. Your word. Are you ready?
Oh, yeah, I'm ready.
I got to come up with one. No, wait. I had one, but I thought that would be mean. Okay. I think your word is wheel.
Wheel?
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Eagles.
Wheel
These
on the bus,
wheels keep on turning.
Wheels on the bus go round and round, round and round.
Wheels on the bus.
You know.
These wheels keep on
Keep your
turning.
hands on the eye and
What?
hands upon the wheel.
Yeah, radar love. Yeah.
Yeah.
What was the song that
Eight.
the word that Craig Avery on the Craig Avery show in England gave him?
Soliloquy.
Soliloquy is your word. I cracked up. I thought that was hysterical. Soliloquy. That's your word.
We're like, what?
Yeah, that's okay. Craig will be back on our show this year, and we'll make sure you're on the show, Rob, so you can give him the word. You know,
Okay.
because the bird's the word.
The word.
The bird's the word, according to Nancy. Thank you, everybody, for joining us again for Spontaneous. What?
Did you play?
No,
Oh.
I didn't. I can't give myself a word.
But Rob,
How
can
about
give you a
love?
word?
Love.
There you go.
That's an easy
There
one.
you go. Love.
Love will keep us together
Think of
better
me
now
ever.
than never. Captain and Tennille. Why did that come to word?
That's right.
What's
Do I
love
win that,
got
Rob?
to do? Got to do.
Yeah.
Who needs a heart when a heart can't be broken?
Okay, see, there's heart.
Yeah, but that's
And then there
see,
was total eclipse of the heart.
yeah, but yeah,
Yeah.
Oh, that's
Don't break
no.
my heart, my achy breaky heart.
No.
Oh,
No, don't
No.
do that. No. If you do that, that's like that same thing. Put your hands in your pocket, the jing-a-ling-a-ling thing. Don't. It'll be in my head all day long. We have like, no.
Careful what you think.
No, some songs just go in your head and they keep going, and you can't. It's like the wheel keeps going around and around. And no, that's the danger. That's a danger. But everyone, songgame.com is where to go to get the awesome board game, Spontaneous. Go get it. It is super fun. And if you're going, it's winter. If you're going up in the cabins in the mountains, go take it. If you're going to a spring picnic or a summer campfire thing, take Spontaneous. It's fun. It's a game for all seasons. That's right. So songgame.com, everyone. Also, again, for the 8 Keys, go to 8keys.org. And Super Camp, Bobby, this is the time. Like getting ready for kids to start enrolling, right? It is now.
It is. Absolutely. Now is the time.
Supercamp.com is where you go, everybody, for that, to take a look at these amazing programs for preteens and teens and get them in for some academic achievement programs. And it's not just in this country, it's around the world, right, Bobby?
Yes, we're in over 12 countries.
Wow, that's amazing. Everybody, find something awesome. FindSomethingAwesome.com is the website you want to go to, and also, of course, on Amazon to get Matt Scott's books. It's a great tool, as you can hear, parenting tool to sit down with your kids, and there's 4 books. Excited to hear you've got new ones coming out, Matt. When do you think they're going to be out?
Probably a couple months would be my
Okay,
guess. It takes about 6 weeks to print them, and so I'm about ready just to push that button to print, but we're almost there.
Right on. If you need any help with the printing or pushing the button, call Nancy. Nancy wants to push buttons. Anyway.
You got it.
She likes it. Thank you so much for joining us. Again, also thank you to Steve Schneikert for his Hollywood History segment. You can find everyone we've been chatting with on the show today, and Steve as well, if you go to blendradioandtv.com. We're going to close with some music. Bobby DePorter, you know Nikki Chris. Rob, I know you know Nikki from our party shows, too. Mm-hmm. She wrote a song called Captain America. In fact, she did a whole 8 Keys of Excellence. She took each key of excellence and matched lyrics to the keys in one of our issues of Big Blend Radio and TV magazine. Captain America is one of her latest, and it's about being the superhero within you. Find your own superhero. Who are you? It goes back to what you were saying, Rob, about waking up in the morning. You know, are you going to be a superhero today? And I think that, Bobby, can we say integrity comes with, finding your own superhero?
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Okay, well, here it is. Captain America. You can go to NikkiChris.com, and that's NICKIKRIS. Thank you all for joining us.
Thank you.
Take care.
Thanks.
Have a good day.
Bye-bye.
Sleepy boy turned quickly into a man, wants to do what's right, the best that he can. His strength is something that we have never seen before, out in the unknown and win over war, created to stand the test of time. Soldier who could get behind peace will find a way. Where is God?
everyone again. That was Nikki Chris and Captain America. She's all about spread love, not hate. Find your own inner superhero. So you go to her website, NikkiChris.com. That's NICKIKRIS, NikkiChris.com. We got to get her back on the show. She's got new singles out, and
good.
she's got a new album she's working on coming out this summer. And we love Nikki. She's on a lot of our radio parties, and excited because we've got another amazing recording artist, Kalyani, joining us. And I want to talk to her about that name, Kalyani. I love that.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to walk around going, Kalyani.
It sounds Hawaiian.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful. And her music, speaking of beautiful, is beautiful. It's deep. It's earth-connecting, nature, like nature mama. That's what I want to say. It's absolutely beautiful. And the videos that go with them, it just really reminds you how connected everything is. So excited to have her join us. But before we bring her on the show, we're going to play Tears from Inanna. It's her latest single. You can go to KalyaniMusic.com. It's on iTunes. I'll go watch the video on YouTube. But again, Kalyani will be joining us next. So here it is, Tears for Inanna. And I love these names, don't you, Nancy?
They're very earthy.
Beautiful. Yeah, nature. You're listening to Big Blend Radio with Nancy and Lisa, and you just heard Tears for Inanna, the latest single by Billboard charting new age and world music recording artist Kalyani. And Kalyani is a spiritually inspired visionary, a producer, and artist whose dream is to offer herself as an instrument for the betterment of humanity and uplifting of consciousness on the planet. Cannot say no to that.
Wow.
Amen, sister. Okay. Go get her music on iTunes and go to her website and go watch on her YouTube channel the movies that go with this. I mean, it just takes you on a beautiful journey. Go to KalyaniMusic.com, and I'm going to spell that out. It's KalyaniYani, KalyaniMusic.com. Welcome, Kalyani. How are you?
I'm great, thank you. Thanks for having me.
It's wonderful to have you on this show, and your music is just so moving and so beautiful. I'm like, I need to use that to meditate to in the mornings. I think it just gives you that. There's like to me, like this big connection to nature with it.
Yeah, I guess I could agree with that. Couldn't agree with that more, for sure.
Yeah, the nature. It's like, as I was saying, she's Earth Mama. She's Earth Mama coming on our show today, which is exciting. Tell us about your name, your recording artist name, Kalyani.
That was interesting because I have never heard that name until I heard it in meditation. I was in my garden and I was doing my practice, and I had been dabbling with the idea of having a separate name from, the name I use every day. I have identified myself with being, inserted in this matrix of life and going through all these different passages and felt so much baggage in it and so much things that I had already left behind that were attached to that name. And I had written a book at the time as well, and I was thinking, it's good to just be able to separate, and not. When this music was coming through, it felt like a part of a different aspect of me that wasn't really connected to the daily, routines that's attached to my name. It just felt heavy. And I just allowed it to, whenever. It was in my awareness for about 2 or 3 years to actually do I not use a pen name for my book, or do I not? And then the music came through, and when the music came through, I was in meditation. I heard the name in my head, and I immediately opened my eyes and I jumped, and I ran inside the house and into my computer because I thought, how interesting! I never heard this before, and I love it, So that's how it came to me. It's just like,
it's beautiful.
It sounds like, to me, it sounds like a flower blooming.
Yeah, I think that's
I
in
love
your
that.
music. It does. It is like a flower blooming, opening up.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because, even reading your background in psychology and the work you have done, which is extensive, even because I know you're from Brazil originally, right? From Rio de Janeiro?
That's
and
right.
Coming over here. And so, and being a mom with children. And I mean, I think that when you work in psychology and psychiatry, it is heavy because there's not just your own life and then your children's life, but then everybody else that you're interviewing and dealing with in that work. That becomes heavy, like you're saying.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
So it's amazing how this happened, and because music, you weren't. I think that if I said to everybody, we have an artist coming from Rio de Janeiro on our show today, they're going to think you're going to play samba and Brazilian guitar music, right?
Yeah,
Maybe
some bossa nova or something.
Yeah, the bossa nova. That's right. And so when you think about it, it's when your music is so pure and it's very ancient to me, incredibly, but ancient, but now. And I think sometimes. And I think also with your videos, the video work, you're showing all these different worlds, especially for women, different roles and worlds, and the natural aspect being there. But it feels very ancient. It's almost very like Merlin, but you're not in Merlin place. But I don't know how to explain that. But you're in these spheres that we've traveled through. So you've got the ancient times coming to now, not only as the visuals, but also in your singing. If that makes sense. It's very ancient.
I think you're very much on point. I think it's a very good perception because it is very ancient. It feels very ancient to me. And it's
it could be dimensions.
Yes, definitely that too.
Oh,
Yeah,
no, okay, Nancy's going to get all tripped out now.
Well, I
No,
know,
because she gets into this weird thing about dimensions when we're traveling everywhere.
Well, no, because
it's cool. It's cool. It's
we
not
had
weird. It's cool.
For a time, we had a psychic on our show, Jamie. Remember?
Jamie.
What's his last name?
Oh my gosh, I'm going to go. I know him.
And we should recontact him. But we used to often talk about the idea of how you kind of shed one skin and go
Jamie
into
Clark.
Not Jamie Clark.
Clark.
Okay.
Well, we are multidimensional beings. I think we all have
so you go
multidimensionality,
from one dimension,
and you can refer to it in so many different ways. You can call it different dimensions of self, or you can just see it as archetypal patterns within our making, our personality, or different like if we're really made of light, because everything is energy, with quantum physics we're getting to that. It's like you break the light, it turns in the rainbow colors. Each ray represents an aspect of ourselves in a frequency, and we're usually very we're very we accommodate ourselves within a certain range, and we don't go, we all are kind of tend to station in a certain ray, and when we go outside of it, it's like outside our comfort zone. That's where we place simplistically extroverts or introverts, or, all different kinds of people who are funny, people who are not funny, people who understand certain aspects of being, others just think that is weird or strange or outside of their realm. I mean, this is all aspects of being, and I think, there are some of them that are really unique and very ancient, and you can look at it from that lens as well, like this part of us that remembers our, potentially past lives, past passages in history, and our soul connects to that, And I think that's how the music came to me. It's more like a memory almost.
But it's like channeling through. It's like, do you think that when you are recording and singing and creating, do you go into that other place? Like, you're calling up you, but in a different time, in a different place, that other dimension. But the dimensions never really leave. They're there.
Definitely, yes. And I think that's why when I've worked with these two tracks specifically, my first two, it's what came through to me. I had to spend some time with it, and I had to be completely alone. It's a process almost like going into, and I think every creative process is like that. A lot of artists, if they're sculptors, painters, or it doesn't matter. Art is a channeling process as well as getting deeply connected to your feeling body, your soul, and whatever is wanting to be communicated from a non-logical sense. And because my music so far has no words that are comprehensible or logical, or the mind is disengaged, which, again, it is even more a process of really opening the channels, the feeling channels, and the spirit body, and just kind of letting it speak to you without having the interference of your mind, So it's really authentic and beautiful, and it's really whatever. It's almost like it's not really me, because we are so identified with the mind, right? If I'm not controlling, if I'm not, it's just pure frequency of feeling and tone and connection to this place that's very ancient in me, and that I connected to, and that I was at the time even studying very deeply.
I think it's timely because you're very, it's a very feminine, yet very, very strong. And I think, women have been strong, since day one. There's this strength that we have. And we've gone through different phases as society keeps changing its roles and changing its many coats and pants and dresses and whatever you want to say. We keep changing, but women, that strength has always been there, and there is that beauty. But a lot of times us women will take that beauty and kind of put it aside and kind of switch gears of strength. If we're going to be strong, we can't be the feminine beauty we are. And
I love where you're going.
I think that we are able to do both, and it doesn't really matter what your sexual preference is. It is about being that true. I mean, we've done a whole panel discussion on integrity right before you came on the show, and I think this is really part of who you are, and what you're putting out there for us in the world is integrity of the deep, deep down true spirit of who you are, but not just of this moment, but that strength, that beauty, because you do not need to trade one for the other. It's about being able to have both, because that's the true self. Strength and beauty.
Absolutely. And I think, I don't know if you know, but Tears for Inanna was inspired in this goddess from ancient Sumerian times. She's the most venerated goddess known in history for over 4,000 years. And she actually, different authors and different historians will interpret differently, of course. And this is, again, a masculine world still, pretty much, in the edge of transformation, for sure. But that she was what we see with a powerful goddess like she was, or a myth, an archetype that was feminine and so powerful, and she was at the beginning of the birth of civilization, and she is considered one of the 7 divinities, or even 4, some say 4 to 7 divinities that, civilized humanity or even created humanity, which is, another creationary myth of Sumeria that says that, the world was created by a feminine archetype, and the universe, everything, that archetype of God was female. And that's where my first track came from. It really turned me on, and I became so, touched by that. I don't know, in some part of me just started, remembering and feeling. And so with Inanna, it's like she's an offspring of that as well, which is so interesting. And she was also a goddess of love and war, they say. She was invested into whatever was happening. She had not been boxed like women have been boxed, just because we are the wombs of creation and we have the option to carry on, and be pregnant and be mere mothers, or and we in Sumerian times that was just considered an option. Just because you have a womb doesn't matter that is your primary role. And women were viewed equally. It's pretty obvious because of what we find in history at that time. And then little by little, everything got distorted and changed, and there was definitely an agenda that was trying to take a little bit of the immense power that women held at that time, because maybe it just felt overwhelming. Maybe could it be that thousands and thousands of years ago, because history is a lot longer than we've been taught, that we castrated or we, emasculated the masculine? I don't know. What is it that happened that made that become, such a saga for us to have to go through so much enslavement? Not be allowed to study. We could not be allowed to dance anymore, or to sing, or to be a part of the world. Our world became our homes, and the world outside became man's world. And now we're in the process of reclaiming that, reclaiming also our divine authority, which is, Inanna was a priestess, a goddess. She was also teaching us about a sacred sexuality. Apparently, she was one of the primary, if not the first, that I know of. And then her name changed throughout history. In Babylonian times, she was Ishtar. It's very interesting. She's also associated with the Venus star, the morning and night star. She was called the Queen of Heaven and Earth. She was gloriously humongous, and people have never heard of it. So I became fascinated with it, fascinated with all her aspects, and it just came couldn't put it into words. That's why it's like I can't put all of that into words. It's impossible, right?
My grandmother taught me. This is really funny, but she taught me that men only think they're in charge, and that we are only, as women, letting them think they're in charge, but they're not really. And that
I know, I've heard that really, from my family too.
I know, it's really funny when you think about it, and she said if you just ignore the whole thing, you can go through life and pretty much do what you want. And I've pretty much found that kind of to be true. I mean, I've had instances that working for other people where there was sexual harassment and all this stuff, and it was said you couldn't get ahead. And I thought, okay, you can make choices to get ahead. How are you going to do that? And sometimes you leave employment and you seek out something different, which is why we have our own company. And so there are ways around what you might call it's a man's world.
Mm-hmm. And we are talking from we're in a very different place.
Yeah.
Even as North Americans here. I mean, we are very small part of the world, and we are ahead and we are gaining a lot of space. Like the Dalai Lama even himself has said that the Western women are the ones who are going to, be the progenitors of the new, coming reality or the new world.
You look at the
leaders.
shift, though. Look at the shift as things have been turning. It's like you can almost feel like the shift of the planets and everything moving around, and it's like, okay, now we're going around this corner, and now we're gaining momentum. Like you can feel this absolute shift. One thing also in watching both your videos, Namu's Invocation, which everyone, over 2 million views on YouTube from last year. Really? That's amazing. That's amazing. And watching it, you understand. And you take us to these mythical places, the big sand dunes and the ocean. That I love the ocean that you have in this one now, your latest one, Tears for Inanna, because there's something about it. To me, you're representing the cycles. And there's something very, because of the waves, the lunar cycle too. And so that's very feminine because it's also mysterious for those who don't have that, who aren't women.
Well, I think you're right on
cleansing,
again.
Cleansing too.
And then with Namu's Invocation, I feel that I was feeling there was a depiction of an arc of a story where the divine feminine, it starts on the dunes in the desert. It's like, so nature has been destroyed, right? So it's the symbolism of what we're doing to the earth. And it's like the coming down of the goddess, but she is mourning. And when I say goddess, I say the re-honoring of the beauty in the feminine, not just in women, but what feminine means in all of us. Women have walked away from their own feminine because we're living in a world where those values were not worthy. They were not viewed as needed or necessary. Everything feminine, including women, were kind of weakened and put down and restricted within men as well. And with time, as we gained more freedom, and let me remind all of us, very hard earned, because we can't forget the women that came before. If you watch the movies and beautiful film that it recently made about women's liberation in either in England or in the United States, how many women were jailed and how many of us were dragged, and how religion
around
is
the world. This is a global thing.
Connected to that. The power of religion to inflict this agenda on women. It's very strongly connected, and we're putting the pieces together because we've been around long enough to know. But basically, the history, the arc of the story on Namu is like this essence of the feminine coming back into the earth and penetrating our consciousness again, men and women alike, reevaluating and relearning the value of being soft and intuitive and connecting to, and even science is pointing us in that direction, because quantum physics now doesn't have logical explanations. We're really getting to the point where matter is not matter, and we've known that matter is energy. So how does that connect with spirit, with the different realms? In every way it does. We're not matter. We're vibrating matter that is perceived as, it's vibrating energy that is perceived as matter. So basically seeing this energy re-entering our consciousness and integrating again, which again is the polarities, the unification of polarities within ourselves and within our global community and culture, multiculturally. And this transformation coming. And so she starts mourning the death and the disconnection in nature, on the physical world and also within our own nature. So it's like the macrocosm and the microcosm. And then she basically, this is female archetypal goddess energy, divine, sacred, feminine, whatever you want to call it, dressed in black in the desert, starts to walk through and do the healing. So it's the same idea the Dalai Lama said, that that the women are going to save the world. It's not the women, it's the energy of the feminine being reintegrated into our consciousness that's going to save the world, because that's the energy that's not about domination, about competition. It's about coming together and thriving and creating beauty and preserving nature, knowing they were inherently connected. And it's not about conquering nature. It's about integrating ourselves with it, because we are nature. If we kill nature, we kill ourselves. Period.
That's right. Well, it's the tree of life.
To be separated.
It's the tree of life. And I love that you talk about vibrations, because nature works on vibrations. It really does. I mean, even if you think about how whales know when to migrate, and birds and everything, even the way a plant moves. Yeah, you got a lot of plant medicine in you. I keep seeing plants. It's crazy. I'm kind of tripping out a little bit ever since you talked about the opening of the flower. It's that it is that vibration and that connection.
Women are the nurturers, okay, and I understand what you're saying. You can't just say women. That feminine energy, okay, that's the nurturing part.
It's time to heal.
Okay. Now the other side of the coin would be the opposite, which would be the domination, the control, the war, the greed, the I want this, it'll be my way or the highway. That's and then you can say that most people harbor both of those within them to some degree. And so the trick is to balance and make sure you are who you want to be. And I
go ahead.
Okay.
Well,
so go ahead.
No. Go ahead. God, you finish.
Okay.
This is feminism at work, ladies and gentlemen.
So I think, because
I thought you had stopped. I was going to...
It's so funny. Because the way we categorize things and put words to things and divide them up in our minds so that we can easily put them and know where they are or talk about it, that sometimes the words we use make it, this is the way it is forever and today, without giving that room. Like when you talk about energy vibrating, that means it's moving and changing all the time and reacting to anything else that happens around it. So that's how life is, but that's not how we live. I mean, we put fences up, we put walls up, we have bookshelves where only books should go, and we do all of these things to be organized. And our actual nature really isn't like that, I don't think. I don't think that we were meant to be so boxed in straight corners instead of circles. I don't know how to say it, but,
you're supposed to flow.
Like it's the flexibility.
When you're outside, you can feel nature and you don't feel boxed in. When you're inside, you definitely are bouncing off the wall sometimes, because
your vibrations are bouncing back at you, because that's why I really love what you talk about vibrations, because vibrations and sound are
to do the tree exercise.
She knows the tree exercise.
Yeah.
I know she does. But there's that thing where nature is free, and I think that regular society of now, that controlling part, the religion part you were talking about, they're scared of true freedom. It's fear.
Oh yeah.
Well, they just want a guarantee of what happens when you pass on.
And embrace the vibration. You know, today's the anniversary of the first Love-In in San Francisco. I just have to say.
But I like the dealing that goes on in it. If you behave yourself, you're going to go here. If you don't, you're going to go there. I mean, it's kind of what's behind door number 3, you know?
Yeah, tell me, Annie, I think this whole part, I mean, do you feel like, well, I did this meditation, reading The Secret Life of Plants, and to this day, I'm going to do it again because I know they did it, and then I started doing it, and it really happened. This book was out in the 70s, and they took leaves off of a plant, and this guy put 3 leaves next to him, and he would meditate with them every morning. I say with them because it was connecting, right? So this is where I think with your music and the stories you're telling is this greater connectivity, this giant connectivity where we understand the web of life truly. And he would meditate on these 3 leaves. And the other 3 leaves that he pulled off the plant, he put in another room and just ignored them. The leaves he ignored died. The ones that he meditated on every morning, and I think every night too, lived for months, no food, no water, just on meditation alone. So is that the level we're talking about with what you're saying of this, you know, these past lives and these vibrations? That is the vibration, the power of that vibration being able to sustain life.
No doubt about it. No doubt. I have no doubt. Yeah, it's.
You know, the Russians did an experiment so many years ago where they took baby rhesus monkeys and they gave them all food and water. They were all sheltered. They weren't harmed in any way, but part of the monkeys that they had, I think there were 4 monkeys that were never touched or talked to in any way, but they were fed and given shelter and given water and given air. The other 4 monkeys were talked to and caressed, and we're talking about newborns here, and they lived. The other 4 died. Just because nobody ever talked to them. They were just kept completely separate on their own. It sounds really horrible and cruel to me.
It's horrible. Just the thought of it.
I know, but I mean, it is actually a valuable experiment from the standpoint of showing that you can have food, water, and everything that you need physically to survive, but you need something more.
And that's why I was going to say with your music, going out there, I mean, you weren't singing. I mean, and listen to the purity of your voice is incredible. It's like, you know, you should be in the Apollo, you know, singing the way you sing and the what you've written, and then just even the video work is incredible. The talent is there, and it's very, very pure. Through what we're talking about with vibration and it going out there, 2 million views, you know, last year is amazing. Do you feel that your music going out there, is it like a vibrational thing that is connecting with people, just like Nancy says with the monkeys, and just like, you know, I was talking about with the leaves, because I feel like society is feeling that way, that they aren't getting that kind of attention, that nurturing. Do you feel that your music is helping to ease that and create the positive growth of a better society?
I would hope so, and I've received much feedback in that way. I've actually, you know, I had a lot of resistance becoming a singer because I wear a lot of hats, as you know, and I didn't really ever dreamed of being a singer. This is part of the beauty of it too, because it just was so spontaneous, and it came late in my life, and which is, you know, there were so many mental aspects of, you know, my indoctrination and the cellular memory of what is proper or not, or what shoulds and shouldn'ts, how am I possibly going to, you know, and then I had to go through a process of letting go of all of that and accepting that, you know, I don't have to have a certificate to prove that I can sing or that I had a family that was connected to music. It is what it is. It's authentically what it is. I don't want to have to, you know, I've disconnected from the idea that I have to follow any previously existing. Even as a singer, people are like, oh, when's your album out? I said, I have no idea. I don't have any plans. I'm doing what my spirit asks me to do. I don't have an attachment to what happens to it, and it's a beautiful place to come from. And you know, I'm in a very privileged place, I realize, I don't need it to live from, and it's different from other people who want. And I feel terrible for people who want to live from music now, because it is not it's not an easy thing. The music industry has changed, and it's not. It's pretty hard and out there. But I basically do what I do without any expectation, and I put it out there, and it just has to be authentic and integral to what I'm feeling, to what the message is, and to what's coming through. And I love art, so I make it. I love beauty, and I try to make it as beautiful and artistic as I can.
It is beautiful. I mean, all of it. That's the first thing. I was just like, wow, this is beauty. Like when you listen, it's beauty. It's transported. It transports you. It takes you on a journey. And I think when you can do it with a single, and make that single feel like you're listening to an album of beauty, that is
and when you think about an album, I just sometimes I would buy an album of my favorite artist, and I would only love 2 or 3 songs. The rest I would, okay. It's almost like a filler. So, and it's okay.
It's like, how do I make a whole album when I only have really 2 or 3 songs?
Exactly. And I would rather have 2 and 3 songs that really move me than just have a whole album of things that are not really hitting the point. For me, at least for me, that's my experience. And with to go back to what you asked, one of the reasons that made me accept that I was supposed to put this out in the world as a singer and not just keep it to myself or use it in a documentary, which was the original idea. I was creating a documentary, or I was doing research and developing a documentary for the depicting the renaissance of the divine feminine, or the sacred feminine in the world, and the importance of it. And the music came through first, and it took a life of its own, and then it was placed in a film, and it just kind of. But the reason why I came out as a singer was because people who heard I had recorded music for a film or for a documentary came to me and asked me, can I hear it? My friends, they would just be home and say, oh, I heard you. And I would just put the notifications. This was in the beginning. Before I even came out, I'll put the recording on for them. And I couldn't actually listen to it standing up or with my eyes open. I had to sit down and close my eyes because I could feel all the vibration going through. And people would start crying. They would just, several of them would just start crying. In the middle of it, sometimes, they just, it was very, very
it's that release.
Powerful.
It's the release.
And they almost couldn't put words to it, but it wasn't a crying of sadness. It was a crying that, like a healing, a voice that came through them that they couldn't speak. And it's their voices. It's almost like they felt they were being expressed through that, some part of them. And it was so overwhelming to them. And so it touched them, and they were in tears. Some of them sobbed, literally. And I just kept observing that, and I knew what it did to me, but I didn't know if it was just because it was mine and I had such intimate connection with it. But when it started doing that to others, and people just, you can't just,
you need to.
You're an artist.
Yeah, you're being
and I'm
told.
like, so,
dude, you will do it, man. You're being told. I wanted to bring up also, it's that purity, and I think sometimes when art touches, and art's supposed to do that, and I just wish today we just should have called the whole show Integrity, because that's what it's about. It's that integrity, that authentic self, and that creative integrity, and I think that's important, and you're doing
oh my God,
what
I'm
is
so connected to that word. Integrity is like one of the fundamental values I believe in. I wish I had known that your show began earlier, because I thought it started with me.
Well, what we'll do is I'll send you the link so you can listen to the whole thing.
I will.
And it's so funny because I was talking about
how
we were
perfect
all having,
that you placed me on this.
It happens all the time. You don't plan things like that. Here's the date, and there's this weird divine thing of, hey, this is the flow. It's about being the blend and not being closed off to focusing only on one thing. That's why we're the blend. When everybody told us variety's dead, and we're like, oh no, it's not. Everybody needs to be open to other things, otherwise we don't grow. If you want to stick and just, want to watch one TV channel, oopsie, I'm going to go there. Then that's all you're going to see. But if we've got all these different things. The world is so complex and amazing.
Beautiful, and you let
connected.
it all blend and flow, and not separate. And it's
where
great,
does the ocean
beautiful.
go if you keep damming it up?
Yeah, you can't. It told us you can't do that. You can't do that. And that's the thing. And Terry, it was so funny because on the panel discussion I talked about, because I did a lot of singing on the blues side of things and rock, and talking about how I had to shelve the teachings of singing like others to learn to just be myself, and it was so scary. And then once I did it, I was just like, man, I just wanted to get naked on stage, but not really, because you know what I mean? That freedom of because I was a kid running around the bush in Africa, so I did like to get naked. But there's a freedom in nakedness, everyone. But that's how it feels. And that's what I think is so beautiful of your music. It's you can hear when someone's just being pure and free, and there's something just so important about that, and that message of now that we are our authentic selves, that we do things from those places, because as we progress, this is it almost feels like it's the last, it's not, because we always have cycles, but it's if we want the future to be good, man, we really need to, at this point, be 100% authentic and real, and no anything around that, no dirtiness around it, because it's the only way to have true growth in a truly positive direction that is nurturing, that is healing, that is productive and good and wholesome and fun. That's what has to happen. So I think you're definitely one of those amazing people on that frontier of it. But you should have just been on our panel discussion. We should have just had you on the show at the beginning with everybody. It would have been great. But you're here now, so that's cool. Before you go, I wanted to ask Nancy. Got one more thing. I
just really want to. I have to do the tree exercise because I know that she'll understand.
I know she's going to know it.
Yeah,
we're going to play bets now.
Okay, there's a tree exercise. We get on your hands and knees by a tree, and put your right hand on the trunk of the tree. Close your eyes. So you're connected to the ground. Now you're connected to the tree, and you listen until your heartbeats match. Now, it sounds really crazy and weird, but it actually is. It's boy, especially if you have high blood pressure, go do it. Mm-hmm. It will slow everything down till you totally connect. And it's a great place to be. And it makes you understand that a tree, just because it doesn't have 2 or 4 legs and walk around, is a living creature that actually dominates the earth in that it cleans our air and it provides oxygen. And the more we chop them down, the more we endanger ourselves. The roots clean the water system before the water goes in the water table. The leaves are out there. They're cleaning the air, and we chop them down all the time without even thinking. Just boom, 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 chop them down. They're in the way, And I just feel like people forgot that we need them. Mm-hmm. Sounds like a real tree hugger, huh?
Yes, I am a tree hugger too.
Do you listen?
But you see that
to the tree? Do you listen to the tree? I mean,
seriously?
Do you listen to the tree, and do you think rocks are alive?
Do you think? I'm sorry. What is the second?
I know
question?
that sounded crazy. Do you ever hear the heartbeat of a tree? Do you hear that, and then do you think that it's the same question really? That because I think all things are alive, and if you go up to a rock, a big old rock on a mountain kind of thing, in the desert, and you put your ear up to it, I think they're alive. I think rocks are alive.
Absolutely, yes.
Oh, good.
I have actually done meditations where I am just hiking, and I will stop and I'll hold a leaf on a tree, and it will actually speak to me. I really fully connected my energy and blend with the tree. I can feel it give me a message or a word or something like that, and give me a vision. And I feel like trees are powerful cleansers as well. When I come up to a tree and I touch it or hug it, I feel like, it's the grounding cord. It will suck anything that's out of harmony out of me. At least I feel, and it sends it all the way down into the earth like a grounding cord. And then when I connect to the leaves, it will fill me up with renewed energy and harmony and reorganize my body rhythmically or energetically. That's how I feel. I mean, trees are powerhouses. And when I see a big, giant tree, I live in an area that's filled with oak trees, and some of them are breathtaking. I literally I'm in awe. Some of them when I walk by, I have to stop, and I almost feel like I have to kneel and bow because they are just so extraordinary. I can feel their presence and the power. It's just incredible.
You're like us, man. I mean, we do our walks every morning. We started a Facebook group, 1 hour walk. I got to plug it out there. Hashtag 1 hour walk on Facebook because we get people outside.
That is so funny. You guys are on the same line with me.
Totally. It's the path, man. It's the walking path.
And you kept saying walking every morning too. It's
you
like
got to see the sunrise.
45 minutes to an hour.
That's it. Exactly. That's exactly it. Yeah. Every morning, sunrise, and the days we don't do it, I swear everything starts to get crazy weird. But the mornings we do it, it's like you're taking this positive step forward. And when you see the sunrise, and sometimes it's this amazing, spectacular show. Sometimes it's like, hey, we don't have enough clouds for that, but you're going to get this kind of glow over here, but you're going to see a different light over there.
I know.
And it's up to you to choose your perspective. And then you take that walk in the morning, you wait for the different birds, you get to know the different seasons just by the sounds, by the, I mean, it's like the smell, it's everything. It's everything. And to me, if I had one piece of advice for humanity, it's like go take a walk in the morning.
Yeah, right? Yes. Before you do anything else, connect. And that's what I feel like. I've been just having to really go. Otherwise, it just doesn't feel right, After
it's weird. Do you feel urgent about it? Because we talk about meditation, taking walks, and your music is calming. It makes you just feel so centered. It really is very centering. Like I was like, okay, that's it. I can't work on the radio show and listen to your music. I have to just, tune out. Like even when we do the show now, I can't quite listen to it like I would because it requires you to sit and listen. It's like one of those things where you are going to immerse yourself in it. And you're going to take a bath in your music. Same thing as taking a bath with nature. Trees give you energy baths, and sunshine does it, and all these good things. But do you feel, I know we're talking about this calming side, and I got one more question and then we have to go, but do you feel, gosh, you've got another one here. We're running out of time, but do you feel as calming as, everything we're talking about, this connectivity, and it's very beautiful, it's not altruistic, it's very real. Do you feel urgent? Like if you don't do it, like that you must, like an urgency of must doing it and an urgency that time is now, because I feel
absolutely,
like we have to do things now.
I do.
Yeah,
I do.
This year feels big, and not the year 2018. It's not necessarily what human beings made, but it's
but
the
there
cycle
is a sense
of
of urgency for sure. Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, because the Earth is trying to say something.
I know.
And we need to listen.
We need to be one with her. Now, I wanted to bring up Oceana. This is a documentary film you're working on?
Yes, that's right. I am glad you brought it up. Yes. Yeah.
Tell us.
It is. It is. My composer and partner in music, and he's very talented director and writer, and he's been a diver since he was 5 years old. I'm very blessed to work with somebody who's so talented, and when he literally went into depression in 2016 because one of his biggest dreams was to dive, and he has 15 diving certificates. He has every category of training, and he's also he has been diving for National Geographic as well in the past, and he has a National Geographic diving card. So he's so connected to the ocean. So this is a very authentic, again, it's what I like, to be involved in work that is authentic and that's helping humanity and is helping all of us thrive and heal. And so he been talking to me for a few years, about a couple of years, I'm going to make this a documentary on the ocean, and I'm so devastated that we lost half, 2/3 maybe of our coral reefs are gone at this point. And he started, moving in that direction. He said, and I want you to do music with me for it, And I said, okay, just let me know when you're ready. And then he went off and did a couple of excursions and got some incredible 4K imagery and did a trailer and started a website. And then he's like, I'm ready to go.
Right on.
And I was like so amazed. And then I said, Riz, but this is just like a document. You said, yeah, it's dying. We gotta. I am so devastated. We gotta get whatever's left, so we have it to show, and it's gonna have the most extraordinary music. It's gonna move, and it's gonna be, and I hope it does something to people. And I'm like, but you know what? We have to bring some hope. We can't just put a beautiful movie out there. And he says, there's no hope. Forget it, Kalani. It's like, are you dreaming? I said, no, there has to be a crazy, and this came out of my mouth on a phone call, okay? And we're going to do like a reenactment for the documentary because I was like, there's got to be a crazy scientist somewhere there because I don't believe I believe in solutions, and I think the solution to every problem already exists. We have to open to see and to have, to believe so we can go and find it. And when we believe that, we're going to activate the frequency of finding it because we're going to vibrate in that frequency of solution, right? So I said, there's got to be a scientist out there that knows how to reseed the corals. This came out of my mouth. I'd never heard of it. And we found right away, we found two scientists, that were actually one of them, Dr. Kirby, who lives in Micronesia. He's been there for many years as a marine biologist, has been already, he coined the term coral gardening. And I said, oh, my God, this is incredible.
I love that.
So the movie now is about saving the corals. We have movies about things dying, whatever, and the corals dying, which has already been made, and now we have a movie that's going to bring hope,
I love this.
That's awesome.
Please come back on our show when this is ready for viewing, for people to go and see it, because we would love to have you on.
We actually would love to come before so we can spread the word on it, and people will jump. Before it comes out, we could already be talking about it. So when it's halfway there, maybe, so people can expect
you got our number. You call us you anytime because we have our whole nature connection thing that we do, and we are very, very dedicated to the natural world. It's what we have been doing since I was born and since Nancy was born. That's all we do is keep, the good fight, and that's why it's the blend because we keep trying to show it in different ways and show travel. Connection. And travel is part of the education. And it's about the natural world, and that's why we have another magazine, Parks and Travel. And for that reason, going to national parks and saving that piece of land, that piece of ocean, because a lot of our parks are marine parks, and they get, the eyes are closed at that because if someone doesn't dive, they don't always see what's going on. And when people want to go and drill in those places, they don't understand like that side of it sometimes. So. We're very into that, and I'm very excited that you're doing this documentary. So please, please, please keep in touch with us. Is StargateAlliance.net the best thing right now for that, for people to keep up with Oceana?
Or you can go to Oceana the movie.com, and but Stargate Alliance is a way as well. And great. Anytime you want to talk about it, also just I could go on forever on integration of masculine and feminine as well. I feel like there were things that we could have explored together about that. So if you want me to come back, I'll be happy to do that as well.
Awesome. Well, it's been a true pleasure having you on the show, and I know there's so many things we could talk about for sure.
Yeah, and then Riz can come on the show with me, the director, and we can talk about Oceana whenever I come back to talk about Oceana.
Awesome. Absolutely. Please bring him on. Nancy's got one more thing.
Oh, okay. This whole,
all right.
Okay, I just have to say, and I have to be fast. This whole thing reminds me of one of the professors that I had in art college. At the end of the course, where the whole course was about meaningful brush strokes, how to make the brush do exactly what you want, how to mix exactly the right color, how to put it where you want so that you get your message through. And on the very last day, he turned around and he goes, okay, now let's go backwards. And now just do the brush stroke you always wanted to do and compare the two, and which are you? And then he walked out of the classroom. And we were all like, what? And this conversation just kind of reminds me of that last thing where you have been taught this for so long. Keep it this way, do it that way, control it this way, make it say what you personally want, to why don't you just swing the brush and let it happen?
Let it flow.
Yeah, isn't it funny?
Let
and
it
that
flow.
whole conversation, I started thinking about, like, what, man, I haven't thought about that for years.
I was thinking also, and
it's a really weird exercise.
That flowing thing and let it just go through you. That's where, like, when I learned how to sing my style, like, it was like unlearn everything you just learned, but I knew, like, technique and could learn that stuff. And then the band that I was with, they were like, I was like, when I sing, it was like a trance, and it's almost like, remember, I sing. I'm one of these barefoot people, and they all go, you need to stop closing your eyes. But I'm like, but I'm in this story, I'm in this place, I'm in this emotion, and they're like, no, you can't do it. And then of course I didn't stay with the band, and I went off to do my own thing, and that was good, But that feeling, and I think that's so important. What you're doing in this conversation is to really don't ignore the knocking on your spiritual door.
Oh, that's nice, Lisa. I like that.
Hey, that's exactly it. Don't ignore it. Don't ignore it. The time is now. Thank you, Kalyani. Come back. We got lots to talk about. Everyone, again, KalyaniMusic.com, and we're going to play Namu's Invocation. Namu reminds me of, it's a Kenyan thing to me for some reason. I don't know why, but it sounds Kenyan. The name, it's Kenyan. And I know you're going to get to it, Nancy, later. I know, but Namu's Invocation, here is the instrumental. Everyone, I really encourage you, go to KalyaniMusic.com, go on iTunes and get the singles, and also go watch the movies with these. They're not just a video. This is like an experience. So thank you so much for everything, the conversation, the music, and the positive work you're doing.
Thank you.
All right.
I had phenomenal joy. Really enjoyed it.
We did too. We'll talk soon, okay?
Okay.
Thank
Much
you.
love. Take care.
Here it is. Much love to you too. Everyone, Namu's Invocation. everyone again. That was Namu's Invocation by Kalyani. Man, it's just so deep. Everyone, you can go to kalyanimusic.com and also iTunes to get the singles and watch her movies too with it. I mean, it's an experience. Like I said, that song it's deep to me. It's like
that's underwater,
strong
that
and
feels
beautiful.
Like underwater.
And then there's a feeling of like, you know how your mind races through all the things you've been through. It's like it has that too. You know, it's
reflective.
Yeah, that's it.
Contemplative.
Very good, Nancy. She's got the words for me.
I got words.
Yeah, but I do see all the there's plant things going on. Now I'm like...
It could be either one. That could be the whole growing of a plant from seed up and then blooming.
I know. When I hear music like hers and have a conversation with her like that, I just want to go create now. Now I want to go paint. I'm like, okay, so I'm going to go paint.
Cool.
Don't mind me. But anyway, and I don't know how to paint. But anyhow, you're the painter.
You just don't think you do.
I know. You see, that's those negative thoughts, right? What an amazing show. We're going to close with some music, too. Wally Lauder, I have to play this, his song Mantra. Wally Lauder is a good friend of ours here out in Tucson. We play his music all the time on the shows. And we've been in the shows, a full week now since our anniversary, our 11th anniversary, and we play his songs all the time, and we haven't played one of his yet. I'm like, whoa. Yeah, Mantra was a song he did. We did a whole series on musicians who tied one of their songs to one of the keys of excellence, the 8 keys of excellence, and he did this for integrity. It's called Mantra. So check him out at wallylauder.com. But, we were talking about the 1 Hour Walk group. I encourage you to go and join our group on Big Blend magazine. If you go on Facebook and type in Big Blend Radio and TV magazine, or just go to blendradioandtv.com and connect from there. Join our group. You'll see people post photos from their walks everywhere, and it's amazing, to see everyone's perspectives, and it's just such a healthy, good thing. So join us over there. It's cool.
We also have the one Positive People for
Peace and the Planet.
Join that as well.
Yeah, we have 5 different groups. And we're slowly getting them active and rolling, and we'd love to have you be part of it. And Positive People for Peace and the Planet, it's about, there's so much going on, and you can be angry and upset, and of course we're going to have emotions about what's happening. But this is a place to post action, supportive words, music, whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
So we also have creative Celebrating the Arts and Creative Spirit Facebook group. So everybody there is on Facebook. Check us out and come join us and have a conversation. We will be back on Wednesday, January 17th at 4 p.m. Pacific Time, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. We're talking travel, tourism, animal welfare. It's our vacation station travel show, and we're going to go to Exeter, California, right outside Sequoia National Park. We're going to have one of our favorite kind of conversations. It's called The Locals Insider. When you go to a place, you want to hear from the locals what to see and do. What's it like to live there? What's it like to work there? And we have 3 locals joining us. Sandy Blankenship from the Exeter Chamber of Commerce. We also have the mayor, the lady mayor, joining us.
Oh,
and
cool.
Then someone from Extra Hobbies is joining us, and we hung out there.
We play with those race cars.
Yeah, there's interior race car stuff. It's really fun. And so they'll be on the show. And I'm going to close that segment with Hollywood history that Steve Schneikert of Exeter. And he talked about how people moved from the Dust Bowl over across to that area because it's the breadbasket of America. So I'm looking forward to that. Also, right after that part. After Exeter, on our vacation station show, we have Adam Roberts back on the show. He's a wildlife conservation expert. He's been on our show since the beginning, years. And he's going to be talking about how to be a responsible traveler, keeping animal welfare in mind when you travel. What can we do? Watch out what you purchase, what you eat, things like that. So how to when you go to Mexico, sometimes you'll see them sell puppies at the border or birds, and you think, oh, save the bird, buy it, because at least you're saving that bird. Well, when you do that, half the time they'll go out and catch another bird. So sometimes you just have to close your eyes, don't do anything, move forward, don't go over the border, don't do it. And so he's going to talk about that kind of thing. What can we do? And then we have Nicole Alden joining us. I'm really excited about this. She's an awesome lady. Talk about an incredible musician, too, something I found out. She created Brave Era. It's a naturally hypoallergenic luxury 100% silk travel sheet, and we're talking about mulberry tree silk. And it's a travel sheet. So now when you travel, she's a world traveler and been all over the world in different countries. And, you're in a hot climate. What are you going to do? Get in your sleeping bag? And so it's like a sleeping bag but a sheet, and it's luxurious and it's lovely. And even if you're staying in a hotel, sometimes, like I know that, I don't like all the chemicals that some of the hotels use in their bedding. So you can take this and use that as your sheet. So very, very cool. Yeah. So she'll be joining us to talk about her startup story. It's always interesting how these products get created and talk about world travel, and we'll play her music. So It's going to be a great show again, everyone. Wednesday, January 17th at 4 p.m. Pacific Time, 7 p.m. Eastern Time, and that's our travel show. Again, you can keep up with us at blendradioandtv.com. We're also on Twitter at Big Blend Mag, and also go to nationalparktraveling.com. That's our site dedicated to travel and all our natural and historic places. Okay, so Nancy, we have to play Mantra. Are you ready?
Yeah,
I know, very excited. So Wally Lauder, check him out at Wally Lauder, and that's Lawder, Wally Lauder. Here is Mantra, one of my favorite songs. Take care, everyone. See you on Wednesday.
Sky this morning, the wave of blue turned into violet, tones of peach on the horizon, strings of wispy clouds just off the rim. Or were you crazy for the mantra? You must have more, one more thing. Work a little more for one more thing. Don't stop now, you're almost there. One more, one more, one more, one more. Did you feel the wind today moving through your hair so messy? Did you see it bend the trees? Did you watch the red-tailed hawk so high? Or were you crazy? You must have more, one more thing. Work a little more for one more thing. Don't stop now, you're almost there. One more, one more, one more, one more. We got to find our way out of this. We're missing too much in our busyness. Did you look into her eyes, see the beauty that is there? Did you gaze into her heart, see the very artistry of love? Or were you crazy? You must have more, one more thing. Work a little more for one more thing. Don't stop now, you're almost there. One more, one more, one more, one more. We got to find our way out of this. We're missing too much in our busyness. I want to fly away, leave this madness far behind. Let new visions come my way. Listen to the mantra that is mine.